Hi, it's Jay from EDSA Tarot, back with some more sparkle for you. The nail polish that I'm wearing is the same as my last video, and same with my frankincense perfume that I'm still wearing. Today I just wanted to do a little deck highlight on a deck that I've had for a little while now that I am kind of like somewhat saving for a deck study, but I still use it occasionally just to pull one card, and this is the Dharma Tarot. It is written and collaged by Michelle Sellers, and I just wanted to do a little chat about this deck because I really haven't seen it mentioned much on TarotTube, and I think it's an interesting one. So this is a deck that I purchased on MPC. It is oversized, which is one of my personal rules to not buy decks that are this big. This is the same size as Softest Shade Oracle, so I do make some exceptions for my rule. I think it's 5.75, so it is beyond what I prefer to have in deck size, but there are only 78 cards, so it's a little bit easier to shuffle, and it is standard smooth, I believe, so it's pretty thin cardstock, which I don't mind at all. No gilding. These are the backs. These have significance. I don't know if it was in the book, but I think that it represents enlightenment in Buddhism. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not Buddhist. I just enjoy learning about different religions and cultures. The suits are renamed. There's so many things about this deck that are on my no list. But I thought about this for a full year before buying it, knowing all these no's about it, and did this anyways. So the suits and their correspondences, the candles are fire, cups are water, incense is air, and flowers are earth. Pages, knights, queens, kings. So that part we're still able to easily figure out. The deck came with 5 info cards. So it has the majors, candles, cups, incense, and flower explanations. I did not feel like this was enough information for somebody who does not know a lot about any of these cards. So I purchased the book separately. The book was expensive. So this was definitely like an investment between purchasing the deck on MPC and then buying the book separately. Apologies that the cards are not in order, but I've been using the deck, so yeah. There were like a lot of barriers to me getting this deck. This is probably one of the only decks where I've reached out to the creator to ask, like, is there any plans for a second edition with smaller cardstock or maybe gilding or like anything? Because if another edition was coming out in smaller cards, like I would have waited. And so I had reached out to the creator in multiple ways, like the contact me form on their website, like messaged on Instagram. And I think this is the only creator that I've ever reached out to that just straight up didn't respond to anything that I sent. So that was a definite turnoff for me. Some of the cards have little like sayings or phrases on them. I think that's cool, but it's definitely inconsistent throughout the deck. I don't mind them though. So as I was saying, knowing me and my personality, there's just multiple things that were like leaning towards the no side for me for this deck. But as some decks do, like you get the images in your brain and they get stuck there and you just like think about them and think about them. And this was a deck that did that for me. Like I just thought that there was so much learning to be done, so much that I didn't know, so much that I was curious about. And I haven't seen a deck like this anywhere else on the market. And so I consciously chose to accept the perceived shortcomings of this deck. And I'm really glad that I did. I really like having this deck in my collection. I like having a couple of different study decks that I can reach for if I want to learn different things. For me, this is like, I have this deck, I have the Telos Tarot, I have Spirit Keepers, and that's pretty much all that I need right now in backlog of study decks. But I do really like having them available to me. So this is Enso, and I think that that's what the back of the cards are. Please hold. Enso. What has been the meaning of the Enso in Japan? Experts tell us that the circle has been seen as the all, the void, and enlightenment itself. Very few Enso stand alone. They are usually accompanied by an inscription, such as, "My heart is like the autumn moon," or, most simply of all, by the invitation, "Have a cup of tea." None of these, however, does more than hint at the indefinable richness of the Zen circle. The meaning of Enso, therefore, is not fixed, finite, or static. Instead, it becomes a form of activity that continues through time. Stephen Addis, The Art of Zen. Keywords: void, all, uninhibited, spontaneous, clarity, simplicity, beauty of imperfection, vitality of impermanence, ineffable, unleashed creativity, focus, ease, freedom, transcendence, original nature, one's own experience. The Enso, Japanese for circular form, recalls moons, mirrors, and even rice cakes that have been used as enlightenment tools in Buddhism since at least the time of Narjwana. The earliest known Enso painting is by Chan Master Kaiozan, who lived in the 800s. Enso calligraphy became a meditation aid for both the calligrapher and the viewers. It's a dynamic art used to discover stillness. There are the years of practice and then the instant of clarity and creation. The void calls for activity, for mindfulness, for thankfulness. How does Zen tackle the void? According to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the Zen student must mobilize the whole of his or her person in order to delve into the ground of his or her personhood, where the whole in question involves both the mind and the body, both the consciousness and the unconscious. They make an all-out effort, staking life and death, because it guarantees them an embodiment of truth and freedom. Zen metaphorically speaks of reaching the whole as kicking through the bottom of a bucket to designate the ground of a person, which Zen understands to be bottomless. To experience this bottomless ground, to draw body and mind, as Dogen put it, is to see into one's own Buddha nature. At any moment, things may change, so live in this moment, be grateful for this moment. This very uncertainty and the emotions it brings is beautiful and bittersweet. Everything you've done and everything you are brought you here, now, an artist putting brush to paper. The art of the Enso is spontaneous, beautifully imperfect, and unbound by expectations. When the Enso appears, create something simple and quick, like a doodle, a haiku, or mini collage, a photograph of whatever draws your eye at that moment. Create for the love of creating. Or take in some art that seems to go beyond conventional logic and words. Painting by Zen artists, Tibetan and Japanese mandalas, Dogen's essays, a chapter from the Avantamska Sutra, the paintings of Hilma Klint or Agnes Martin, Olafur Ellison's installations of light, water, and air, John Cage's music, anything that for a moment stuns and silences you into going beyond concepts into vast spaciousness. What will you create? What will you practice until it's second nature? How can you go beyond words? Creating without discrimination, projection, and ego attachment is just creating that directly reflects the moment. As you can see, the descriptions in the guidebook are very weighty, like they have a lot to them. They pull quotes from different sources. I feel like you get a lot of information per card, and that's something that I really enjoy in a study deck. I like how the majors have the original title and then the new title so that you can kind of use that to guide you. 8 of Candles, which is 8 of Wands. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are supreme of importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Awaken, take heed, do not squander your life. Let's take a shuffle. So my fingers fit, but it's, it's a squeeze. I think if the cardstock was any thicker, it would be pretty impossible. Similarly, the overhand is a little bit hard to do. Let's see what this says about 2 of Cups. Harmony, love, friends, partners, chosen family, respect, collaboration, understanding, freedom together, truth, sharing, good and bad, loving yourself, lasting goodwill, neighborliness, offering joy, showing up for loved ones. Tons of explanations. I typically leave these tucked into the book because if I'm going to pull a card, and typically I only pull one card, I would rather just read the full explanation than just the keywords. So yeah, we all have our different preferences in specifications when it comes to decks, and then sometimes you have to go outside the box and you pick a deck because despite the things that might not check your box, other parts of the deck are worth it. And this was a deck that I felt was worth overlooking those things. I'm really glad that I did. I have really loved getting to know this deck a little bit. There is so much more for me to get to know, and I hope that you enjoyed taking a peek at it because I don't often see it around town, as they say. So if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment with what you thought, and I will talk to you later. Signing out.